I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're diving into a riveting narrative. It is called A Hard Decision, and it is written by a wonderful author. His name is Westley. This heartfelt novel captures the agony and the resilience of love amidst the horror of war. The author masterfully explores the depths of human emotion, making us question what choices we'd make when faced with the unimaginable. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Authors Tranquility Press for helping us put him in the spotlight today. We ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Wesley, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Oh, thank you very much. I had a very busy day today.
Well, I'm glad to have you on the show. You can be calm now and cool as we tell the story of A Hard Decision. Let's start out by giving the folks at home a overview of what the book is about.
All right, the book is basically about a young couple. They got married. They grew up, got married after high school. And the husband, the wife was expectant, and the husband was due to be deployed to Vietnam, Southeast Asia. And he promised her that he would stay in contact and write her every day. And there was a while she would get letters from him, but then she didn't hear from him for a while, and she was expecting a baby, And then when she did receive a letter from him, then he was telling her that, explaining to her what was going on and what he was experiencing and whatnot. But don't worry, he'll be okay, and he'll be coming home and stuff like that. And then time goes by, and she receives word from the Air Force Casualty Organization to let her know that her husband is either MIA or killed in action and whatnot. Yeah. So she sort of like fell apart. And she had a girlfriend named Marguerite that really guided her through some of the trials and tribulations that she was dealing with mentally, because she was mentally affected by that, with the funeral and all that other stuff and whatnot. And her husband, William, he went off the war, but like he was expecting to return back to his family and stuff like that, but he became a POW, and he was being interrogated, and according to what he was dealing with, his mind was being messed over by the interrogators, having him believe that all of his family is dead, and even his, in other words, they didn't kill him, they tortured him through his mind.
Right.
And that played a heavy impact on him. So as time went by, one of her best girlfriend, Marguerite, had invited her to like a party to introduce her to another gentleman that the girlfriend knew. And at that time, Zera wasn't interested in getting involved with anybody else because of the things that she has gone through. And she didn't want to suffer anything, another demise with things going on and whatnot. So as time goes by, she met Steve, and they eventually, dated, and they got married. Mm-hmm. And then as time goes by, then one day when Steve was at work, she gets his phone call, and she's kind of startled because she doesn't know who it is, and why is this person asking for her? And then she says, well, your voice sounds familiar. Mm-hmm. It sounds strange, almost as if you're my late husband, William, but I know he's dead. And he's trying to convince her that he's not dead. He's very much alive. And he wants to come by to see her, to speak to her. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, I can't really do that because I'm married, and, and it wouldn't be right for me to be talking to you without my husband being here. Mm-hmm. So, he did come by. Mm. He came by and he paid her a visit. And when she opened the door, he says, Zero, what's the matter? Don't you remember me? The good times we had together before I went overseas and stuff like that. And she just couldn't comprehend that here is her late husband standing there in front of her, but she's remarried. Mm-hmm. And she really doesn't know how to take on that, the effects that she's dealing with and whatnot. So he said, well, look, I'd much rather come back when your husband Steve is home. Mm. And he left. And she kept saying, I know my William's dead. I know he's dead. It can't be him, like. So he left. But he did tell her before he left that he would come back when her husband was home. So lo and behold, the husband comes home and he asks her, how did her day go? And she told him, you wouldn't believe it, but my day seemed so much like a soap opera. She said, well, what do you mean by that? William came by. He says, William, how could William come by when his aircraft was shot down over in Haiphong in Vietnam? It can't possibly be. He's supposed to be. And what about the funeral and stuff that you was telling me about and the flag draped coffin? Then if that's William, then what or who was buried in the cemetery?
Right.
So as they're talking about this stuff, right? All of a sudden, the doorbell rings, and William says, "Oh, if that's the paper boy, let him know. We'll pay him next week." So she's not responding because she's now startled because there's her late husband standing in the doorway, and Steve is saying, "Zera, what's going on? Let the paper boy know. I'll pay him next week." So she still doesn't respond. So now William gets up from his seat. He goes to the door, and who does he see? He sees William standing there. And then William says to Steve, what's the matter? He says, you're supposed to be dead. He says, I got the same stare from Zera before because both you and her both are looking at me like you're seeing a ghost.
Right.
So William was there. He said, well, look, I'm here because I want to continue on with what I had before I went to Vietnam. And he says, I want my wife back. And Steve says, well, look, I'm married to her now. And then, then they're talking about, well, yeah, but she was mine before she was yours. So like now they're having a verbal confrontation with each other.
Right.
And it becomes physical. And, like Zera's, she's seeing all of this stuff going on and whatnot. She has to break them up, and then Zera's telling Steve, there's something that I've wanted to tell you for quite some time, but I could never get around to telling you because you never really had time to listen because he was, because of his job, he was keeping late hours. He was in charge of some corporation and whatnot. And, he didn't really take time to listen to his wife until William came. Yeah. So like now she's explaining to him, yeah, well, I'm dealing with my condition, in other words, the health related issue, right? And they're saying, yeah, well, asking her, which one of us do you want? Yeah. She's got to the point where she says, I don't want either one of you. You're both using me like I'm a pawn in a game of chess, and you're making me sick. So that William got agitated, and Steve was more agitated because William is in his apartment doing the confrontation. So eventually, Steve forced William out, gave him a shove, for him to get on his merry way. So those are just some of the different things that happened within the book. I don't want to give away too much. Because,
no, it's a great setup. It's a great story. Obviously, it's a hard decision for Zera and other hard decisions along the way as well in this book, hence the title. Now, you were in the service for quite a few years. You're a highly decorated veteran. Tell us a little bit about your experience in the military and whether that experience in the military inspired the story.
Well, the military didn't inspire the story because because I enlisted in the Marine Corps in 1965, 21 July 65. I did 2 tours in Vietnam from 1966 to 1968. I get emotional. I was 19 when I arrived, October 24th, 1966. Just arriving in country. I was scheduled for the 3rd Marine Division. I didn't even know it. I was scheduled for 3rd Marine Division coming out of California after going through advanced combat training. They show you all the things that can kill you when you get to Vietnam, the VC trail and the different insects and the animals and stuff like that.
Mm.
And I, you're going through training, so you're not thinking about dying or any of this stuff. They're just showing you the things that can happen to you while you're there. So when I arrived in Da Nang, because we flew out of, I think it was Travis Air Force Base
Mm-hmm.
on a Continental airline. There was over 360 something Marines on that aircraft. We didn't have any weapons. Usually when you travel on a ship, you carry your combat gear and all that stuff. So we didn't have any of that stuff. We just go in there with our uniforms and our sea bags and stuff like that. So when we landed in Da Nang at night, before we landed, the plane was flying, and then they distinguished the lights, and we didn't know why they turned the lights off. So I'm thinking, well, maybe we're going to get shot down.
Mm.
When the plane lands, it lands at night. And when they open up the hatch, the doorways, you could feel the heat coming into the aircraft because that's how hot it was at night. Because over there it was 120 and 130 in the shade.
Amazing.
And so when we landed at night, and then there was a big entourage of other military personnel waiting to get on the flight that we just got off. Mm-hmm. And they're saying, watch your back, Godspeed, look out for each other because this is serious stuff over here. Mm-hmm. So, we laid down at night on cots and stuff like that in a big air terminal in Da Nang. That was one of the locations. And so in the morning, because I was scheduled for 3rd Marine Division, when the morning came, they called a muster together and they started fanning out Marines to other different areas where they were needed. Yeah. So they said, well, Lance Corporal, I was at E3, Lance Corporal Thomas, 1st Marine Air Wing, Da Nang. I didn't even know what that was. Then there was, somebody from Da Nang from the 1st Marine Air Wing, Marine Wing Headquarters Group 1, which was near Highway 1. It was a compound on the other side of the Air Force. On the other side of the air base. And they picked me up and they drove me, to the compound to be indoctrinated by, the other Marines that were already there in country that have been already dealing with the issues that we were facing. And, so I got, sort of adjusted to it. So like 2 months in country, we're in our racks because we slept on the mosquito nets and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. In the racks and hooches, you call them hooches. And at night you can, you hear, you can feel the ground pounding. Yeah. And you see, when you step out of your hooch, because you in your subconscious, you can feel the concussion and stuff from the explosions and stuff. And you really don't know what's going on because this is your first time experiencing something like that. Yeah. And then when you grab, then your heart is racing. You got your adrenaline rush. You're grabbing your combat gear and your rifle and all this stuff because now you want to get out of your hooch and go to the perimeters where you're set up with your bunkers and stuff like that, for protection. Right. And and the sky's lit up because they have flares, and the flares are dropping down. They're illuminating the sky to make it look like daylight. Mm. So you don't know if they call them Charlies, BC to be a com. You don't know if they reach the compound to come in and then do whatever had to be done and whatnot. And then Christmas Eve, 1966, December 24th. I was only 2 months in country. Hmm. We got called out, because at that time we were in our hooches. You had the black guys on one side, you had the white guys on the other side. The black guys are playing their Motown, and it's almost like platoon. They're playing the Motown songs and the Stax records and stuff like that. And the white guys, they're playing their country and Western. We used to call it shit kicking music. They're playing their music. So we're in there, having a good time and singing and rocking with the music. So the white guys come in, they run to the back, and they're grabbing their combat gear and stuff like that. We say, hey, where you all going? They said, well, they told us to come and get our gear and get out and fall out and get on the trucks. So we said, well, hell, if they're going to do that, we might as well go ahead and do the same thing. We don't know what's going on. We don't want to be left behind. So we got our gear and we all went out and got on the truck. We didn't know where we were going, what we were doing. And it was raining that night. Mm. So when we got to the area where we were going, to find out that we was on a search and rescue operation to look for survivors from an airplane crash that killed 120 Vietnamese nationals and 20 wounded. I received a letter of appreciation from the commanding general, L.B. Robert Shaw, for professionalism and devotion to duty. It's all part of my my bio.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a formation. I couldn't understand, like, when the general came around, they had a formation. And I was an E3, Lance Corporal. They said, Lance Corporal Thomas front and center. So I went up. I didn't know what I was going for. Then all of a sudden, I'm handed a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
It was a letter of appreciation from the commanding general for what I did during that rescue. And I'm saying to myself, why am I the only one getting this? When there's other Marines, I said this to myself, there's other Marines in the same formation and the same company was doing the same exact thing. I couldn't figure it out.
Mm.
But for years, many years or decades after the fact, I was proud of that letter, but I never thought I could do anything with it. It was just a letter.
Mm.
I didn't think to send it home to my mother, because if I would have sent it home to my mother, it would have been put in our Staten Island Advance,
Yeah.
Our town newspaper,
Yeah.
which would have been part of my legacy, but I didn't know. So I just held on to it. And then we was on search and rescues. Then whenever they formed what they call an air mobile reactionary force, where if other areas needed us, they would put us on a C-130 or C-123,
Mm-hmm.
fly us up to wherever we needed to go to assist them. Then put us on a CH-36 helicopter flying over rice paddies and dikes, because we got sent on, I think it was February 27th, 1967. We went up to Quezon. I'm pretty sure you heard of Quezon.
Mm-hmm.
Camp Carroll. When we landed, we flew up in a C-123. We didn't know what we were going up there for.
Mm.
We landed, we see body bags. Well, I saw body bags on the tarmac waiting to be picked up. And then they put us on helicopters. We didn't know where we were going.
Mm.
All I know is the helicopter took off to get the machine gunner sitting in the doorway, and you're flying over the rice paddies and the dikes. And then when we get to the area, the location, it's hovering. You got to jump out, forming perimeter and stuff like that. And the helicopter takes off and leaves. So the commander went inside the compound. It was a Montagnard village, Langley village. The commander went inside, and when he came back out, you know what he said to us? Stack your weapons.
Mm.
So that means when you're stacking your weapons, all the weapons are like this, stacked. And they're stacked.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, you don't have any armament with you.
Mm.
You weren't allowed to take any of that in. And you want to really know why? You ever hear friendly fire?
Yeah.
Because of friendly fire.
Mm.
The village was, because that was an Army Special Forces camp, because the Special Forces was advisors to the Montagnards. Those are the Aborigines, the village people. They walk around with straw and, like jungle outfit and stuff like that, made out of straw and stuff like that. So we weren't allowed to take our weapons into the village because of the friendly fire situation.
Mm-hmm.
When the U.S. military called in for an airstrike, because the Congo coming up from the tunnels to attack the village and whatnot. So they called for an airstrike, and the airstrike, they dropped it on the village people. So our job assignment up there was to bury their dead. To bury their dead. And the ground was so hard, you can just enough to put the body in, cover it over dirt. No, put a straw mat over it, cover it over with dirt. And if you walk on it, you can still feel the body.
Amazing.
So these things are very, very touching, very haunting.
Yeah.
And then when I came home, I had a lot of psychological. Before I even came home, I was stuck in Southeast Asia for 3 days because somebody else with the same name that I have, but the first name was spelled different. Theirs was spelled Wesley. Mine was spelled Westley. They took my travel orders, flew back to the continental of the United States. And when I left Southeast Asia, I had to fly with their travel orders on a different aircraft. When I got to California, I had to go to the Red Cross because they had my airline ticket messed up. They had me down for Dayton, Ohio, when it should have been JFK, New York. My travel orders was just to go from here to there. Because but the other person's travel orders I had, it was his records, stack.
Mm.
And then I say to myself, like, whenever anybody spells my name incorrectly, I have a
Mm.
flashback.
Yeah.
People say, oh, yeah, Wesly, Westly, or Wesley. It's not spelled like that. My name has two E's and it has a T. I don't
Yeah.
mind being called Wes, West for short, not West.
Right.
And I have a flashback because I'm saying to myself, like, if the plane crashed, whose body is in the cemetery? What family is
Yeah.
being, so a lot
Amazing.
of this stuff. And then I didn't know when I came home, I had a lot of psychological baggage.
Mm.
Breakdowns, but I didn't know I was dealing with anxiety and depression. I didn't know what PTSD was.
Right.
And I didn't get any help from the VA until 2000 because I didn't think I needed any. I didn't know that I needed any. And there was a time, I'm pretty sure you've heard it over the years with the new service personnel with the Gulf War in the Middle East and stuff like that.
Hmm.
You hear a lot of suicide.
Yeah.
I, I attempted suicide in 1988,
Mm.
September 29th. I stabbed myself in the abdominal section with a butcher knife, just waiting to die. When I was taken to Elmhurst General Hospital, on a gurney, after getting out of the vehicle and being rolled past the people that were in the waiting area, I can hear voices. Hey, did you see that? That guy got a knife sticking out of his stomach. And I was only about 42 years old.
Mm.
June 15th, I'll be 77 with the Lord's blessing. So he
Mm.
blessed me to still be here, to be a vessel and to share my testimony with others, to let others know I've been there,
Yeah.
done that, and gone through a lot of changes and trials and tribulations, not counting the fact that I've gone through, you probably heard of it, marriages and divorces,
Yeah.
big time,
Yeah.
because the Vietnam War took away the young
Mm.
generation. And out of that, a lot of that young generation dealt with a lot of different things that was part of that time period, along with the
Yeah.
distinction that was going on. I was there. I was in Vietnam when Martin Luther King got killed. I was there when Bobby Kennedy when they got assassinated.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of things that I didn't know about that was going on here in
Mm.
America during that time. Like the Black Power movement. The what's that?
Black
The
Panthers.
the Black Panthers,
Yeah.
and then you have other Marines coming over there. Other Black Marines coming over to Vietnam. They want to wear afros and
Yeah.
you know, you know, they could, Black Power. We wasn't accustomed to any of that stuff.
Right.
They're coming over there because they're militant, and a lot of them were drafted. They didn't want to be there,
Right.
but we were there we were there because we were sent there.
Mm.
And then to come home and be called druggies and baby killers. My wife and myself was on a road trip one summer. We went out to Meteor Crater. Are you familiar with Meteor Crater?
Yep.
It's in Arizona, I believe. And I went up to the window because we were going to get tickets. So the lady behind the ticket counter, she says, "Oh, you're a Vietnam vet." I said, "Yeah." She said, "You know," she said to me, "How many people did you kill?"
Mm.
And my wife overheard that. And she went over and she said, "Look, this man fought for this country. How are
Yeah.
you going to stand and ask my husband something like that? That's very disrespectful." And my wife will stand up for me. And plus the fact that, I've been through 2 marriages and 2 divorces. I'm now married to my childhood sweetheart.
Wonderful.
We reconnected after 37 years. Had I not met her, because totally forgot who she was or what she was about. Had I not reconnected with my wife that I'm married to now, I don't think I'd be here doing this interview. That's how bad my life experience has been. It was like a cancer eating me from the inside out. Whenever people would see me, they say, "Oh, Wes, you're a smiler, you're a happy-go-lucky guy." Yeah, I might be smiling and look like a happy-go-lucky guy, but I'm being eaten up on the inside. Even through my employment and my jobs and stuff like that. They used to say, "Oh yeah, Wes, Thomas, you got to lighten up on the fellas," because I became a supervisor. "You got to lighten up on the fellas. This is not the Marine Corps. You're not a drill instructor and whatnot." I said, "Look, just like I have a job to do, They have a job to do. They're subordinates and they're supposed to conform and do what their superior tells them, just as long as it's safety and it's within reason. And then I got other upper echelon undermining my authority to the hourly employee. So how do you think that made me feel? Had I known the things that I know now, things would have been a lot different. I probably could have went out on Social Security retirement or disability from the job, but I didn't know about these things. So there's a lot of things that I know of. I can talk to anybody on any level because I have a lot to offer and a lot to share. Mm-hmm. My wife was responsible for me getting a proclamation from the city of New York. My wife was responsible for me getting an advocacy recognition certificate. My wife was responsible for me getting a state senator certificate. And, it's in a big frame, gold seal, red, white, and blue ribbon. I usually read it, but I didn't bring it off my wall to bring it, so that I could read it to you. But it's a powerful proclamation, because when I received that proclamation back in 2016, I received mine as an individual. Mm-hmm. The 369th received theirs as an organization, as a group. I was just on a Zoom meeting with my Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 126, Manhattan, New York City. Mm-hmm. They just received the proclamation, but they got it as an organization. I have mine as an individual. It puts a smile on my face. It makes me feel good. Yeah. And whenever I read it to somebody, they are very touched because it's part of my military legacy and history.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you got the recognition that you deserve. You were pulled from your home at a very young age, little more than a child, really, when you go over to Vietnam at 18, 19 years of age. And you had to do, difficult work and see a side of life that a lot of people will never see. Most people would never want to see. And you've served your country with valor and with bravery, and we thank you for that. And we thank you for creating this great piece of literature now. It's called A Hard Decision. It's written by Westley Thomas. It is a heartfelt novel that captures the agony and the resilience of love during wartime. The author has masterfully explored the depths of human emotion, making us question what choices would we make if we were faced with the unimaginable. Westley, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate your time. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight. And Hollywood, if you're listening, this would be a terrific film. It's got all of the elements that you need. It's got a great hero. It's got a love story. It's got war and untold conflict. Hollywood, the script, the book is waiting for you. Thanks again, Wes.
You're welcome.